She called me a kidnapper at the airport, then left her toddler with me on the plane, so I got her arrested before takeoff. I was staring down the barrel of a 12-hour red-eye, completely exhausted, when a manicured hand violently shoved a 3-year-old boy into the middle seat next to me. The mother didn't even look at my face before she leaned in and hissed, "He's independent. Keep an eye on him. I'm sitting up front in first class." The sheer audacity of her statement hung in the stale, pressurized air of the cabin, but the reality of who this woman was, and what she had already done just an hour prior, made the blood freeze in my veins. To understand the absolute insanity of this moment, we have to rewind to gate B12 in the terminal. The time was pushing past 2 in the morning, and the airport had taken on that liminal, ghost town quality where everyone is either asleep on their luggage or staring blankly into the void. The fluorescent lights buzzed overhead, casting a sickly yellow pallor over the gray carpet. I was sitting at a charging station, nursing a burnt cup of black coffee and furiously typing away on my laptop to meet a work deadline before the flight. The rhythmic hum of the nearby escalator, a steady, mechanical grinding sound, was the only real noise in our section of the terminal. That was until I noticed the toddler. He was incredibly small for his age, wearing a faded, oversized t-shirt and light-up sneakers that didn't flash anymore. He was wandering aimlessly, his tiny feet shuffling closer and closer to the precipice of the descending escalator. There was no adult within a 20-yard radius. My eyes instantly scanned the area, the panic rising in my chest as the boy's toes reached the metal plating where the steps vanish into the machinery. 50 yards away, standing near the plate glass windows overlooking the tarmac, was his mother. She was wearing a sharply tailored, slate gray pantsuit that screamed old money, her blonde hair pulled back into an aggressively tight ponytail. She wasn't looking at her child. She wasn't even facing his direction. She was pacing furiously, clutching a sleek smartphone to her ear, and her voice echoed sharply across the empty seating areas. "I don't care about the merger optics, Richard," she barked, her tone dripping with corporate venom. "You tell the board I am not leveraging my assets to cover their gross incompetence. Fix it, or I'm walking." She was entirely consumed by her own self-importance, oblivious to the fact that her flesh and blood was about 3 seconds away from a catastrophic fall. The boy leaned forward, reaching his small, sticky hand out to touch the moving black rubber handrail. I didn't think. I felt the heat rising in my neck and my vision went blurry with rage as my primal instincts took over. I shoved my laptop aside, practically leaping over my duffel bag, and sprinted across the terminal. My boots slammed against the carpet, but the mother didn't even flinch. I reached the boy just as he lost his balance, his weight shifting dangerously forward over the steep drop. I scooped him up by his waist, pulling him hard against my chest. He didn't cry. He didn't scream. He just looked at me with wide, dark eyes and offered a surprisingly calm, almost vacant smile. The heavy silence of his reaction sent a weird shiver down my spine, but before I could process it, the shrieking began. "What the hell are you doing to my son?" I turned around to see the mother charging at me like a rabid animal. She had dropped her phone, her eyes wide with a terrifying, unhinged fury. Her designer heels clicked aggressively against the floorboards as she closed the distance between us. "I'm keeping him from falling down a jagged metal staircase while you scream about corporate assets," I shot back, my voice trembling with leftover adrenaline. "You were trying to steal him," she screamed, snatching the boy from my arms with a violent, jerking motion that made his tiny head snap back. "Help! Security! Attempted kidnapping! This psychopath is trying to take my child." Within 60 seconds, 2 Port Authority officers were jogging toward us, their hands resting cautiously on their duty belts. The mother immediately weaponized her tears, playing the part of the traumatized, fiercely protective parent. She pointed a trembling finger at me, accusing me of stalking them through the terminal and grabbing her son the second she looked away to check the departure screen. What happens next is a quick security review, a stern warning, and we'd go our separate ways. But that assumption was dead wrong. This terminal showdown was merely the prologue to a deeply disturbing, high-stakes nightmare. The incredibly cruel, calculated move she was about to pull would not only force a commercial airliner to abort its takeoff, but it would completely expose a much darker, terrifying reality that this little boy was enduring behind closed doors. For a full version, follow on-screen instructions.